Hey guys, I'm Rich from NeoWin, and today we're taking a look at the Moto Z3. So it's not really an unboxing since I've actually been using it since the device was announced in Chicago, but I haven't had time to record a video yet. So let's make one thing clear. This phone is not exciting, not on its own at least. It was announced alongside of a 5G Moto Mod. So that's where this thing starts to get exciting. The phone itself is just kind of a strange hybrid between the Moto Z2 Force, which is right here, and the Moto Z3 Play, which is right here. But Motorola and Verizon say that this will be the first phone that's upgradable to 5G via the 5G Moto Mod that won't be out until 2019. So keep in mind that the mod will eventually work with all Moto Z models as long as you bought them from a Verizon store. So no, unlocked models, such as the Z3 Play over here, will not work with this mod. That's right. Unlocked models, even if they're running on Verizon, will not work with this mod. But the phone itself is not exciting. Like I said, it's got a glass back, just like the Z3 Play, except it's a different color. This one's actually black now, where the other one is deep indigo. I'm currently using a Cubs cover, which just snaps onto the back. It's one of the cool things about the Moto Z series. So it's black. This one's blue, or deep indigo. Sorry about that. Now, along with the glass back, it has a 6.01-inch 1080p 18:9 Super AMOLED display. It is not a Force model, which means that this screen is just as breakable. And in fact, the body of these two devices is identical except for the color. Over here we have a power button. Right up top we have a SIM tray on the left, fingerprint reader right over here, volume rocker up here, and USB Type-C for charging on the bottom. Okay, and the displays are identical as well. 1080p 18:9 6.01 inches. Now the Z2 Force was 1440p, also Super AMOLED, and the power button was over here because we had a fingerprint reader down here. Now the reason they moved the fingerprint reader is because they made the display longer, so there's no longer room for that big fingerprint reader on the bottom. Now the display is pretty vibrant, and that's because it's Super AMOLED. With OLED displays or organic light emitting diodes, some pixels can actually be turned off where LCDs are entirely backlit. So that's why when you have your TV on and it's showing you something that's all black, you can still see that your TV is on because it's entirely backlit. So since you get those true blacks on an OLED screen, the colors tend to be more vibrant because they're rendered right on top of that true black, and they tend to look a little more washed out on an LCD. Don't get me wrong, there are great LCD screens and terrible OLED screens, but that's just a general description. So internally, it's a Moto Z2 Force. It's got a Snapdragon 835 chipset. I know, and it has a dual 12 megapixel cameras on the back, where the Play was 12 megapixels and 5 megapixels on the dual camera. All right, so not very exciting. However, they're selling it for $480. They didn't announce any new camera features. It's got the same ones as the Z3 Play, like Cinemagraph, spot color, selective focus, selective black and white, and stuff like that. So the value proposition is that while it's exclusive to Verizon, it only costs $480 or $20 a month. Personally, I think Motorola aimed for this low price point, and because at $480, it can sell the 5G Moto Mod for $180, and then you have a 5G phone for $660, which will undoubtedly be one of the cheapest 5G phones that there is. So the mod itself doesn't just include 5G, it has a better 4G LTE modem as well. So the Snapdragon 835 comes with the Snapdragon X16 modem, which has gigabit connectivity, 1 gigabit per second. Now the mod has a Snapdragon X24, which has 2 gigabit per second connectivity if your carrier supports it, which it probably doesn't. For 5G, it also has a Snapdragon X50. So the reason I say if your carrier supports it is that we've been promised gigabit 4G LTE for some time now. The Snapdragon 835 has been out for a year and a half, and there are a few very select regions that ever rolled out to. So if you look at how long it took to roll that out, then you kind of want to wonder if you're gonna even need a 5G mod, because who knows if your neighborhood's gonna get it and when. I mean, Verizon has only announced 3 regions so far, or markets where it's going to happen. Okay, so 5G works over what's called millimeter waves, and these work over high frequencies, so they can easily be obstructed. See, the lower frequencies, those are better for being in buildings. That's why T-Mobile, it was such a big deal when T-Mobile got that 600 megahertz spectrum, and Verizon had to split up 700 megahertz. But these are in the high gigahertz. So companies are working on solutions to the obstruction, such as sending the signal at you from multiple directions. The mod works by placing an antenna on 4 strategic parts of the device. So there's always an antenna exposed, no matter how you're holding it. So if you're holding it in landscape, there's antennas on the top and bottom. There's a little nub that comes out the top. So if you hold it on the side, you get signal that way. And of course, if it can't reach you with those 5G signals, you still have that 2 gigabit 4G LTE modems. And yeah, it's promising speeds of up to 5 gigabits per second, which is nuts, compared to roughly, 40 megabits per second that the average user gets today from 4G LTE. 40, that's megabits per second compared to 5 gigabits per second, 5,000 megabits per second. So that means that everything's going to be much faster than even your home internet connection. And while you might be thinking about using your phone as your home Wi-Fi router right now, Verizon has assured me that unlimited will never truly be unlimited like your home Wi-Fi is. And Verizon has plans. This is mobile 5G. There's going to be a home 5G. And we're going to be looking at home internet plans that are run by 5G. And so it's going to be a very different landscape than we see today. And so you might actually see all kinds of changes to your data plans when 5G rolls out. Because remember, when 3G was out and then 4G came, there was separate 3G and 4G plans. And don't be surprised at all if you see speed tiers, data caps, or something else. One thing that I could say for sure is that Verizon isn't just going to give this away. You're not going to have your unlimited 4G LTE plans getting you 40 megabits per second, and then buy a mod, and suddenly Verizon just gives you 5 gigabits per second. And they pretty much told me that they don't know exactly how they're going to do their plans yet. They're exploring different things, but I can tell you with confidence that it's not just going to be your regular standard plan that you have today. So the 5G Moto Mod is considerably thick. It's even thicker than the Moto Z3. And that's because the mod includes an additional 2,000 milliamp hour battery. And that doesn't even add any extra battery life. It's just that the 5G will use battery life at first. And you might want to recall that the first 4G devices got terrible battery life as well. So this is something that's new. Ultimately, I think this is a phone that you might want to get if you're planning on getting the 5G mod, or if you're just looking for a good phone at a great price, because $480 is great. Remember, you could buy a Moto Z2 Force for probably about the same price as a Moto Z3. It does have that shatterproof display, although you can scratch it that easily with your fingernail. But the thing is, even though they have the similar hardware, you'll probably have a similar experience, even though this has a 16:9 display. This one's a little longer. This one's higher resolution, whatever. You're going to have a similar experience with both of them. But you're going to get probably another year of support from the Moto Z3 from Motorola. You're going to get that extra year of Android updates. And that's beside the fact that Verizon probably won't even be selling the Moto Z2 Force anymore. So if you want that 5G mod, remember you have to have the Verizon model or it won't work. You could also buy a Moto Z3 Play. These are, like I said, numerous times. These are very similar devices. All 3 of these are very similar devices. And you could, it's $20 more, it's $500, but it comes with this nifty battery mod. And remember, that's the whole value proposition behind the Moto Z series is mods. So you can add a variety of different functionality. These are all plug and play. And remember, the 5G Moto Mod is actually going to be the first one that isn't plug and play with all Moto Z devices. So I also have the Amazon Alexa mod, and we just snap that on, and it becomes an Alexa speaker. It's pretty cool. The mod battery is empty, which is fine. It still works, but I have a 360-degree camera mod, which takes little VR photos and videos, and has a little shutter button on the back. Speaker mod, which I don't use this actually. I prefer the Alexa mod because it kind of stands itself up like that, and I can just play music, and it seems to be just as good. Gaming controller mod, and again, these things just snap on, plug and play, and that's the real value proposition from the Moto Z series, and that's another thing to consider with this device, right? Because you're probably coming from a Moto Z if you're thinking about buying this phone. You're probably not coming from a Moto Z2, so maybe we shouldn't be comparing that device as much, because the mods really keep you in the ecosystem, and that's why the size of the body hasn't changed in these 3 generations, is because all the mods have to fit. And when I reviewed the Moto Z2 4s, that was the first Motorola phone that I reviewed, and I didn't understand mods or why anybody would want them, because all they sent me was this 360-degree camera mod, and I'm like, I'm not going to carry it around. I don't want this thing sticking out of the top of my phone while I carry it around. Like, this isn't going to happen. Why am I and why would I invest? A mod can cost anywhere between $40 and $300, and why would I spend money on that? But now that I have a bigger collection of mods, I have a bunch of them now, and then I have this shell that can just go on the back, and it snaps on the same way as the mod, except it's just a regular shell. So I kind of get it now, because while I'm out, I do use that battery mod because it's fantastic. Like, you leave the house in the morning, you get home 12 hours later, you're still at 100%. If you're the kind of person that needs that peace of mind, it's incredible. And then I get home and I put on some music and I just plug in the Alexa speaker, and that works. And it's pretty cool that you can kind of use these things how you need to use them. And the thing about the Snapdragon 835, because that's going to be a big deal for enthusiasts, and the Snapdragon 845 really provides more power than the vast majority of users need at this point. I'm sorry to say it, because I know a lot of people will hate me for saying it, but really, most people don't need a Snapdragon 845. And, I mean, these things are going in laptops now. Snapdragon 835 is going in laptops now. So, really, you don't need that kind of power. But, hey, and it's only $480. So anyway, I'll have a full review for this device in a couple of weeks. I don't have the 5G Moto Mod to review. Not that I'd have any way of testing it, but Motorola should be sending it to me when it's available. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm Rich from NeoWin. Have a great night.